The East Africa Command, or the EAC as I'll call it, is just leaked and the bolt action community is already calling it broken. Army-wide tough fighters, outflanking units that can enter from the enemy's own table edge, veteran infantry that start the game on ambush with stubborn, and camels. And the scary part is, they might be right. I've read every rule. Let me walk you through exactly why the army is worrying people and whether the panic is justified. Let's start with the rule that everybody's going to skim past, Pangas. Every EAC infantry and artillery unit, except the HQ, is automatically a tough fighter. No upgrade cost, no selection, it's baked in with the whole force. And so they're probably going to cost 1 point more than the usual points cost. Now, tough fighters already means close quarters weaponry across the board. But there's a note in the rules that most people will miss on first read, because the army grants close quarters weaponry through Pangas, and upgrading the rifle to the submachine gun now is only going to cost 3 points rather than 4. So before we've looked at a single army special rule, you're dealing with a force that's cheaper to kit out for close combat, and it's naturally better than almost anyone else on the table. That's your foundation. Now let's build on that. Rule 2, local area control. This is the scary one. This is where most people are getting it consistently wrong. They're calling local area control better outflanking. It isn't. It's something fundamentally different. Standard bolt action outflanking, your unit comes on from either the left or the right edge, wherever you declared. Your opponent knows the threat vectors before the game start. He knows where they're coming on, one of two sides. EAC's local area control, when an EAC infantry unit outflanks, it can enter from anywhere along the chosen side or at any point along the enemy's own table edge. Now, the Finns get a unit that can take this rule, and we don't know how much we're going to pay for this rule somehow, so it may be when we get the rule book in, maybe these African units won't have as much support or something, but this is a really interesting rule. Read it again. That's the enemy's own table edge. Your opponent is no longer defending one of two flanks, they're defending 3. The rear, the left and the right. There's no safe spot on the table. Park your artillery safely behind your main line. That's exactly where the EAC unit is going to walk on. And because every unit in the entry is tough fighters thanks to Pangas, they're built precisely for the close combat at that rear edge that the rear edge arrival enables. So if you remember one thing from this video, remember this: local area control doesn't just redefine outflanking, it makes every square inch of your opponent's deployment zone a liability. Rule 3, Nigerian Chindits. This is the precision weapon. If local area control is the general threat, Nigerian Chindits are the precision weapon to be layered on top. Veteran only, plus 3 points per man, mid and late war forces only, and for that cost you get a bundle of 4 special rules. Behind enemy lines, when outflanking, this unit ignores the -1 modifier to the order test for coming onto the table. So now you have a veteran tough fighters entering for the enemy's own rear edge with no order test penalty. The most reliable unit in your army in the worst possible position for your opponent to deal with. Deep jungle restricts them, no transports or tow vehicles, can't go in recce platoons, and that's a real trade-off. You're paying points and giving up flexibility to get this capability. That rhymed. And then there's superior ambush tactics. When deployed on the table and not outflanking, actually on the board from turn 1, this unit may start the game in ambush, and while on ambush, it has stubborn. So there's no safe answer to the Nigerian Chindit unit. Either it enters from the edge your opponent wasn't protecting, or it sits on the table on ambush, stubborn, waiting to punish aggressive play. You don't know which mode it's in until it's too late. And rule 4, scouts, infiltrators on the cheap. One rifle platoon in your force can be designated a scout platoon, and that gives small units access to infiltrators. Mandatory units of 5 or fewer models get infiltrator for 1 point per model. Other infantry in the platoon with 5 or fewer models get it for just 2 points per model. For anyone who doesn't know, infiltrators deploy within 12 inches of the enemy at the start of the game, before the first turn and outside any deployment zone. Small units are cheap, and it's in an army that's already has 3 edge outflanking, rear entry veterans, pardon the expression, small infiltrating units, mean that the EAC is threatening you during deployment, not just during play. You can't establish a safe position because you don't know where the threat is coming from before the game starts. Rule 5, Desert Mounted Infantry. Then there were camels. Infantry units within rifle, heavy weapon or recce platoons can be upgraded to Desert Mounted Infantry for 3 points per model. They become desert fighters, treated as cavalry in all respects except they cannot make mounted charges. They ignore all movement penalties within terrain designated as desert terrain. On a standard competitive table, this is very situational and probably not all that useful. In a desert or North African scenario, however, could be good. The mobility advantage is meaningful. The tough cavalry moving through terrain that your opponent might be bogged down in. This isn't a headline rule, but it's a layer of tactical flexibility that fits the overall picture of an army that's always going to be harder to pin down than you expect. So the verdict. Is East Africa Command broken? Honestly, I think it's powerful. In the right hands, it will absolutely punish players who haven't prepared for it. At tournament level, I expect it to take tables from opponents who don't know the rules yet. But broken? Not quite. And this is where I think the community panic is running ahead of the actual game. The power is psychological as much as it's mechanical. When everything you shoot at feels wrong to shoot at, when you don't know if the threat is on your left, on your right, behind you, coming in behind your artillery, that's where the games are lost before a dice is rolled. This army creates decision paralysis, and decision paralysis is where good players beat average players. I suspect the counter isn't tactical, it's going to be structural. You build against it at list selection, not turn 2. You need pinning firepower at range, wide arc coverage, and yes, you cannot and you absolutely cannot castle. An army that enters from 3 edges destroys static positions. Against an aggressive forward deploying force, already in your face in turn 1 potentially, less scary. Against a carefully laid defensive plan, potentially game ending. I call it a B+ threat level just now. Strong, not unbeatable, but I expect that assessment to change the first time somebody runs it at a GT. We'll soon all get used to it, we'll get over the panic and we'll find out what the counters are to it. It plays in some ways a little bit like a Finnish army, and we don't see Finnish armies taking tournaments all the time. We will get used to it. There's going to be a lot of top flight players playing it. It looks quite a lot of fun for, those of us who are just starting out. So I love this little army. Will I have one? I'm not sure, but we'll certainly have a look into it. So, the Armies of the British Commonwealth isn't out yet. This is a leaked preview. When the full book drops, I'll be going through the complete force selection, points cost, and building out a competitive list, so you know exactly what you're about to face or play. Subscribe below to be notified the moment the video goes live. And why not like and subscribe down below while you're at it to be instantly updated when the next one lands. So for now guys, take care and I'll see you later.